The alien queen fell silent when she heard his name, the human. The galaxy was vast, filled with stars, planets, and civilizations that had long forgotten the fragile race called humans. Most species looked at humans as small, unpredictable, and easily controlled. But not all. Somewhere far beyond the edge of known space, a human was about to challenge everything they thought they knew. Alex had always been curious. From the moment he first set foot on his homeworld, he had studied stars, planets, and the faint whispers of civilizations that stretched across light years. He was not a soldier, not a conqueror, not a ruler. He was an engineer, a pilot, and an explorer who had a knack for seeing patterns where others saw chaos. And somehow, that knack had carried him across borders no human had ever crossed before. The ship that carried him was modest compared to the massive interstellar vessels of other species. Its hull was scratched and worn from years of travel, but inside, every system hummed with precision. Alex leaned over the navigation console, tracing a path through a nebula that others avoided. Sensors picked up signals, echoes of something ancient and powerful but distant. It was as if the universe itself had nudged him toward this path, whispering, "You are not like the others." Meanwhile, on a distant planet, in a palace that floated among the clouds of a gas giant, the alien queen held court. She was tall, with a presence that could silence 1,000 voices at once. Her skin shimmered with colors that shifted depending on her mood, a visual language known only to her people. Every gesture, every look carried authority. Many had tried to understand her, but few succeeded. She was the ruler of a vast empire, and yet she was cautious, suspicious, and always 3 steps ahead. Her advisors crowded around her, their voices a mixture of fear and respect. "Your Majesty," one began, "reports have come from the outer systems. A human has entered forbidden space. His actions are unusual." The queen's eyes narrowed. Humans were small, fragile. Their homeworld had little influence beyond their solar system. Why would a human come here? And why, as the reports continued, did his name cause unease among those who knew it? "What is his name?" she asked, her voice smooth, controlled, but carrying the weight of centuries of rule. The messenger hesitated, bowing deeply. "Alex, Your Majesty, Alex Turner." For a moment the queen said nothing. She had heard the name before, many years ago in tales passed down by ancient explorers and spies. Some stories dismissed it as legend. Others spoke of a human who had a mind unlike any other, a human who had solved problems that even the most advanced civilizations could not. The queen's advisors noticed her pause, but dared not ask. Silence in her presence was not just quiet, it was dangerous, a storm held in restraint. Alex's journey had not been easy. Every system he entered carried rules and dangers designed to keep humans out. Patrols scanned the void, energy barriers marked boundaries, and automated drones monitored travelers. Yet Alex moved with a calm confidence. He knew the patterns of travel, the way signals bounced in nebulae, the way the smallest adjustments could make the difference between detection and passing unseen. Every system he crossed, he did so without confrontation, relying on intelligence, observation, and subtle timing. As he approached the planet where the queen ruled, the landscape unfolded beneath him like a living painting. Swirling gases, storms that raged with colors he had never seen before, floating islands of rock, and rivers of energy that sparkled across the horizon. It was breathtaking, terrifying, and full of possibilities. He adjusted the ship's thrusters and let it glide into orbit, careful not to trigger any alarms. On the surface, the queen watched from her observation chamber, a large dome that gave her a view of the swirling skies below. Sensors picked up a foreign object entering orbit, and her council murmured among themselves. But the queen's gaze was fixed. She could feel something different about this human, something the other humans lacked, something clever. Inside the ship, Alex prepared to land. He had studied the planet for weeks, gathering data from old transmissions and long-abandoned satellite feeds. The landing zones were heavily monitored, but he had noticed a small gap in the energy field that covered one of the floating islands. It was a risk, but calculated. He adjusted the landing thrusters and slowly descended, the ship moving like a leaf in the wind. When the ship touched down, alarms on the planet finally registered his presence. A small fleet of drones approached, their sensors scanning for signs of hostility. Alex raised his hands slightly and activated a device he had built, a translator and communicator capable of interfacing with alien systems. The drones paused. They could sense his intent, his lack of aggression. Slowly, they hovered, waiting for instructions. Word reached the queen immediately. She turned, signaling her advisors to be silent. She wanted to see this human for herself. The moment his name had been whispered in her court, something had stirred inside her, a memory, a warning, a promise. She did not know yet which. Alex stepped from his ship, taking in the alien landscape. The floating islands stretched endlessly, connected by energy bridges that pulsed with light. The air was thick with unfamiliar gases, but his suit filtered everything perfectly. He felt a thrill of excitement and caution. Every move mattered here. One wrong step could end everything. A voice echoed in his communicator, translating the language of the drones. "Identify yourself?" "I am Alex Turner, human," he replied. "I come in curiosity and peace. I seek knowledge, not conflict." The drones scanned him again, their sensors whirring. After a tense moment, they parted, allowing him to move forward. It was an invitation, subtle but unmistakable. From above, the queen watched, intrigued. She had seen diplomats, spies, adventurers, and conquerors, but none of them moved with the quiet confidence of this human. He was not afraid, not greedy, not foolish. There was a light in his eyes, a curiosity and intelligence that reminded her of ancient prophecies long dismissed as myths. Alex reached the main energy bridge connecting the floating islands. He paused, sensing the magnitude of what lay ahead. The bridge led directly to the palace, the heart of power. Many species had tried to approach it, only to be turned away. And yet here he was, a human, stepping boldly toward the center of an empire that had never needed him. Inside the palace, advisors whispered among themselves, unsure what to make of the intruder. The queen remained still, her gaze piercing through the walls of her council chamber as if she could see every thought and intention. Alex reached the palace gates where guards, tall, multi-limbed beings with skin that shimmered like polished metal, stood in formation. He stopped, hands raised, showing no threat. "I mean no harm. I only wish to meet your ruler to learn and perhaps to offer insight that might be helpful." The guards exchanged glances, confused by his calm demeanor. No human had ever spoken this way here, yet something in his tone, in the way he carried himself, commanded respect. Slowly, one of them stepped aside, signaling him to enter. As he crossed the threshold into the main hall, the energy in the room seemed to shift. Lights dimmed slightly, and the hum of the palace's systems resonated in a deep, rhythmic pattern. And then he saw her, the queen. She was taller than any human he had ever imagined, her presence commanding and serene at the same time. Her skin shimmered with hues of gold and violet, and her eyes seemed to contain galaxies within them. Every advisor, every servant, every soldier in the room seemed to shrink back in her presence. Alex took a deep breath. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly, "I come with respect and curiosity." The queen regarded him silently. For the first time in decades, she felt a stir of uncertainty. His name had come to her before in stories, in whispers, in warnings. And now, seeing him with her own eyes, the stories felt real. A human had crossed the impossible threshold, unarmed, unafraid, and brilliant. For a moment she said nothing. Her silence stretched, heavy and full of meaning. Her advisors shifted nervously, and then slowly the queen spoke. "Alex Turner," she said, her voice echoing with authority. "I have heard your name." Alex held her gaze. "I am honored that you have, Your Majesty. I only wish to learn from you and, if possible, contribute in any way I can." The queen's eyes flickered with something rare, curiosity, and perhaps recognition. She gestured toward a chamber deeper within the palace. "Come," she said. "We shall see if the human's reputation is deserved." Alex followed, stepping carefully but confidently, aware that every movement was being watched, measured, analyzed. He did not know what awaited him, but he knew one thing clearly. This encounter could change everything, for him, for the queen, and for the galaxy itself. As the palace doors closed behind him, a hush fell over the hall. The queen remained silent for a long moment, then whispered almost to herself, "So, the human has arrived." Outside, the sky roared with color and energy. The galaxy stretched beyond, vast and infinite, and in that moment both human and alien seemed to understand that history was about to shift. The story of one human, small yet brilliant, was about to intersect with the fate of an empire that had ruled for millennia. And neither would ever be the same again. Alex walked through the palace corridors, feeling the weight of centuries of power pressing from the walls around him. The air hummed with energy, a quiet rhythm that seemed to synchronize with his own heartbeat. He had expected grandeur, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Floating walkways connected chambers that glowed with soft, flowing light. Statues of alien ancestors shimmered as though alive, and holographic displays projected constellations and distant galaxies he had only read about in books. The queen led him into a large room, circular in shape, with a transparent floor that looked down into a swirling storm of energy below. She gestured toward a platform in the center. "This is the Hall of Observation," she said. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of command. "Here, we study the stars, the movements of civilizations, and the possibilities of what may come. You may speak freely here, human, but choose your words carefully." Alex nodded. He could feel the unspoken challenge. Every creature that came here tried to impress, to claim dominance, to display knowledge. But he did not intend to do that. He wanted understanding, and if he could, to offer insight that might help her. "I have studied the stars beyond my system," Alex began. "I have seen patterns other species overlook. Sometimes the smallest anomalies lead to the greatest discoveries. I do not claim to know everything, but I can see connections that others miss." The queen watched him silently. Her eyes flickered, colors shifting from gold to violet. She had heard many words in her long life. None had carried the quiet confidence of this human. She had expected arrogance or fear. Instead, she found focus, humility, and intelligence. "You speak of patterns," she said finally. "And yet patterns alone do not save empires. What makes you think a human could offer something that centuries of alien wisdom cannot?" Alex looked out through the transparent floor at the storm of energy swirling far below. "Because sometimes the patterns are obvious but ignored. Sometimes it is not the oldest or most powerful who see the truth. It is the one willing to look from a different perspective." The queen considered this. She had seen the arrogance of older species, the pride of civilizations that believed they could control everything. Yet here was a human, small and fragile by her standards, speaking of perspectives and possibilities as if he belonged among rulers. "Very well," she said. "You will have your test. You will analyze the situation in the outer sectors. There are disturbances, signals, and anomalies that my most trusted advisors cannot explain. If you succeed, it will prove your worth. If you fail," her voice trailed, a quiet warning that failure would not be easily forgiven. Alex bowed slightly. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best." She motioned toward a set of holographic displays. Maps, star charts, and streams of data filled the room. Complex patterns shifted and changed, showing disturbances, energy flows, and signals that seemed to defy logic. Many of these anomalies had caused conflict, suspicion, and fear among the Empire's scientists and advisors. Alex studied them carefully. At first glance, it seemed impossible. The anomalies appeared random, chaotic, and dangerous. But Alex was used to seeing what others could not. He focused, letting patterns emerge from the chaos. Slowly, a sequence became clear. A natural energy flow, combined with an unusual communication signal, suggested a nearby civilization trying to send a message, or a warning. "This is not chaos," he said. "This is intelligence. Someone or something is trying to communicate through the energy flows. It is subtle, easy to overlook, but deliberate." The queen raised an eyebrow. Her advisors whispered among themselves. None of them had noticed this. Many had assumed the disturbances were natural, inevitable, yet this human had identified intent. "Explain," she said. Alex began to trace the paths of the energy streams on the holographic map. "Look here," he said, pointing to a series of intersecting lines. "These signals are structured. They repeat with a rhythm that matches certain natural phenomena. If you align the sensors with the patterns, it reveals coordinates leading to a neutral system, untouched by your empire or others. It is a safe meeting place, likely chosen for secrecy." The queen's eyes narrowed, a subtle flicker of surprise crossing her features. She had not expected him to see so clearly. She leaned forward, studying his gestures. "And what does this mean?" she asked. "It means," Alex said slowly, "that whoever sent these signals is intelligent, organized, and cautious. They are either asking for help, offering knowledge, or testing the empire. If you respond correctly, you could gain a powerful ally. If you ignore or mishandle it, you could provoke conflict." Her advisors shifted uneasily. They had debated this situation for months without arriving at any conclusion. Yet this human, without the centuries of training or the weight of their politics, had solved it in minutes. The queen remained silent for a moment. Then she asked, "And what would you suggest?" Alex smiled faintly. "I would respond cautiously, send a message acknowledging receipt, demonstrating understanding of their methods but without revealing too much. Show respect for their intelligence and offer dialogue. Never assume they cannot respond intelligently. This is how we build trust, not by force but by recognition of cleverness." The queen studied him. His reasoning was simple yet precise. She had never considered that approach. Diplomacy in her empire often relied on hierarchy, intimidation, or dominance. Alex's method required respect, humility, and subtlety. It was alien and brilliant. "You are confident," she said, her voice calm but carrying authority. "Most humans are not. Most would panic, make mistakes, or retreat. Why are you different?" Alex hesitated, thinking carefully. "Because humans adapt. We survive by thinking differently, by finding solutions others overlook. We are not the strongest, but we are persistent, curious, and creative. Sometimes that is more valuable than strength." The queen's eyes flickered again, colors changing as if reflecting her thoughts. She had heard talk of human ingenuity before, but hearing it from one herself, demonstrated so clearly, was rare. It reminded her of the legends, of stories long dismissed as exaggeration. Perhaps those stories were true. "You have insight," she said quietly. "Perhaps more than most in my empire. We shall see if it can be applied." Alex spent the next hours working with the holographic displays, adjusting patterns, analyzing signals, and predicting outcomes. He asked questions, listened carefully to advisors, and offered suggestions without arrogance. Slowly, a plan took shape, a path to respond to the mysterious civilization, one that would prevent conflict and create opportunity. The queen observed silently, impressed. She had expected a human to struggle, to make mistakes. Instead, he was precise, observant, and remarkably clever. She found herself studying him more closely, wondering how a creature so small and fragile could possess such insight. As they worked, Alex noticed subtle indicators in the palace itself. Sensors, energy flows, and the way the structure responded to presence. It all suggested a design that prioritized harmony and observation over power. He realized that the queen's empire had survived not only through strength, but through understanding and balance. And yet, even with all this, there were problems that no one had solved, until now. Finally, after hours of calculations and analysis, Alex presented his plan. "This is how we respond, carefully, respectfully, and with a demonstration of understanding. This method minimizes risk, maximizes potential for dialogue, and shows intelligence without arrogance. If handled properly, it could change the perception of your empire in these outer sectors entirely." The queen remained silent for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "You are bold," she said. "Not many would have the courage to suggest such a path, but it is correct." Her advisors exchanged surprised glances. None had considered this solution, let alone seen it as viable. Alex had done what no alien mind had accomplished. He had observed, understood, and offered a solution that combined caution, intelligence, and respect. The queen turned to him, her gaze steady. "You have impressed me, human. Few beings have ever done that. Few have even survived my scrutiny." Alex bowed slightly. "I am grateful for the opportunity, Your Majesty. I hope to continue learning and assisting in any way I can." For the first time, the queen allowed herself a small, rare smile. It was not warmth exactly, but recognition, a silent acknowledgement that this human had value far beyond what most expected. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will accompany envoys to the coordinates you identified. You will guide the response and observe the interactions. Your insight will be tested further." Alex nodded. "I will prepare. I will not disappoint." As the meeting ended, Alex was escorted to a guest chamber within the palace. The room was luxurious but restrained, filled with light and overlooking a swirl of energy storms outside. He sat by the window, reflecting on what had just occurred. He had stepped into an alien empire expecting danger and suspicion. Instead, he had found curiosity, opportunity, and a challenge unlike any he had faced before. Outside, the queen returned to her observation chamber. She stood alone, staring at the stars beyond her planet. For centuries, she had ruled with wisdom, caution, and power. But now a human had entered her empire and altered her perception. Small, fragile, and unarmed, he had achieved what few had even attempted. The queen whispered quietly to herself, almost as if testing the words. So, this is the human they warned me about. Perhaps the legends were true. And somewhere in the galaxy, beyond the edges of mapped systems, the human who had changed her perspective slept peacefully, unaware of the history he was helping to shape. The Empire, the stars, and the Queen herself would never be the same again. Alex awoke to the soft hum of the palace. Light from the swirling skies outside filled the chamber, painting colors that shifted and danced across the walls. He stretched and reviewed the plans he had created the day before. Tomorrow, he would guide the first contact with the distant civilization he had discovered. The thought thrilled him. He had faced challenges before, but this was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Not only was he stepping into uncharted space, but he was also representing a human perspective in an alien empire. The corridors of the palace were quiet, except for the faint echo of energy fields and distant machinery. Alex moved carefully, still cautious of the subtle rules and hierarchies of this place. Every movement, every word mattered here. He had learned that in his short time with the Queen. The slightest misstep could cost him access, trust, or worse, his safety. As he approached the central hall, he noticed the Queen already there, standing before one of the large observation windows. She had her back to him, gazing at the planet below, her posture regal and unyielding. Her skin shimmered in the light, shifting colors with her thoughts and emotions. She had always fascinated him. She was not only powerful but intelligent in ways that seemed almost impossible. "Good morning, Your Majesty," Alex said respectfully. The Queen turned slowly, her eyes locking onto his. "Good morning, human," she replied. "You are awake early, that is wise. The journey ahead will require sharpness and attention to detail." "I am ready," Alex said simply. "I have reviewed the coordinates and prepared simulations for multiple scenarios. I hope to be of assistance." The Queen regarded him quietly, her expression unreadable. "Most would be nervous, perhaps arrogant or unprepared. You seem neither." "Why do you believe you can succeed where others fail?" Alex considered her question carefully. "Because humans are not bound by tradition in the same way. We see patterns, we find solutions, and we adapt. We may not be the strongest, but we are persistent. That persistence often leads to results others overlook." The Queen's eyes flickered, colors changing from gold to violet and back again. She had heard similar statements from diplomats and scholars before, but none had been as calm, measured, and confident. "We shall see if your persistence serves the Empire well," she said, her tone neutral but hinting at interest. They walked together through the palace to a landing chamber where a sleek transport awaited. Its hull reflected the swirling skies above, and it was built with both speed and precision in mind. Alex ran his hands lightly over the surface, appreciating the craftsmanship. "It is impressive," he said. The Queen observed him. "You notice details quickly," she remarked. "That may serve you well." As they ascended into orbit, the planet shrinking below them, Alex reviewed the data again. The coordinates led to a neutral system, untouched by the Queen's empire or any nearby civilizations. It was a clever choice by whoever had sent the signals. They wanted to meet but not be threatened. The patterns Alex had identified suggested intelligence, caution, and diplomacy. The journey through space was long, but Alex did not rest idly. He analyzed the energy patterns, checked his instruments, and reviewed his strategy for first contact. He considered the possible outcomes, friendly, neutral, or defensive responses. His mind moved through the possibilities, testing each one against his knowledge of the Queen's empire, alien behavior, and his own experience as a human. Finally, they approached the neutral system. The stars seemed brighter here, less crowded by massive fleets or artificial structures. The planet they were to land on was small, covered with oceans and clouds. There were no signs of urbanization or large populations, only subtle energy signals indicating the presence of an intelligent species. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Do you feel nervous?" she asked quietly, not looking at him. Alex shook his head. "Curious," he admitted. "Nervousness comes from fear. Curiosity comes from understanding. I want to understand them before assumptions cloud judgment." The Queen seemed to consider this. "Curiosity can be dangerous," she said. "Many civilizations have underestimated their environment, and that has led to disaster. Yet you approach with caution, and that is unusual." The transport landed on a small platform surrounded by forests and open plains. The air was breathable, and sensors indicated minimal environmental hazards. Alex stepped out first, scanning the area with a portable device. The signals were consistent with his analysis. An intelligent species was nearby observing but remaining hidden. "Remember," the Queen said, "you are not alone. Your actions reflect not only yourself but the Empire. Approach with respect and readiness." Alex nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty." They moved forward slowly, the forest around them quiet, almost expectant. After several minutes, the energy signals shifted slightly. Alex stopped and held up a hand. "They are aware of us," he said softly. "They are intelligent, cautious, and likely evaluating us. We must continue carefully." Suddenly, a figure appeared in a clearing ahead. It was humanoid in shape, but taller than Alex, with delicate limbs and skin that shimmered slightly like the Queen's but with softer tones. Its eyes were large, glowing faintly in the dim light. The creature tilted its head, studying them. Alex stepped forward slowly, keeping his hands visible. "We come in peace," he said. "I am Alex Turner, representing my people. We wish to communicate, to learn, and to share knowledge." The creature's eyes flickered. It emitted a series of melodic tones which Alex's translator began to interpret. "You are recognized. You come without threat. Why do you approach?" Alex smiled slightly. "Because understanding is valuable. Conflict is wasteful. I wish to know you, to share ideas, and to create trust between our peoples." The creature studied him carefully, then nodded. Its body shimmered slightly, as if conveying approval. "Your approach is unusual. Most arrive with demands or force. You offer knowledge and respect." "This is rare," the Queen observed silently from behind, her expression unreadable but her attention focused entirely on the interaction. Alex noticed a subtle tension in her posture. He could feel her curiosity, even admiration. The creature stepped closer. "We will allow dialogue, but you must prove your understanding. Actions speak louder than words." Alex nodded, anticipating this. He had prepared simulations and exercises to demonstrate understanding without arrogance or manipulation. He presented a device that translated environmental signals, energy flows, and natural patterns into information the Queen's empire could interpret. The creature observed carefully, its eyes following every movement. Slowly, the creature began to respond positively, adjusting its tones and gestures. Alex mirrored them respectfully, demonstrating patience, focus, and intelligence. The interaction was delicate, requiring precision and cultural sensitivity. Hours passed as they worked together. Alex explained patterns, shared knowledge of stellar navigation, and demonstrated methods to align energy signals for communication. The creature responded with increasing complexity, showing trust and intelligence. Finally, the creature stepped back and gestured toward the sky. The energy signals above shifted, forming patterns that both Alex and the Queen could recognize. It was a demonstration of understanding and acceptance. The human had earned trust without coercion, intimidation, or force. The Queen finally spoke, her voice carrying over the clearing. "You have done well, human. Few could achieve what you have accomplished. Your approach has shown wisdom, patience, and creativity. You may continue." Alex bowed slightly. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I only seek to build bridges to foster understanding." The creature emitted a final series of tones which the translator interpreted as, "Trust begins, knowledge shared, future possible." The Queen's eyes shifted, flickering with an unusual light. She had observed countless diplomats, spies, and scholars over the centuries, yet few had succeeded as Alex had. He had not only understood the signals, but had also demonstrated respect, intelligence, and adaptability. "Humans," she said quietly, almost to herself, "perhaps there is more to them than I believed." Alex, unaware of the full weight of her words, continued to engage with the creature. He demonstrated navigation techniques, energy alignment methods, and methods to interpret signals across light years. Every action reinforced the trust and understanding he was building. As the sun set over the planet, casting long shadows across the forest, the interaction came to a natural pause. The creature retreated to the edge of the clearing, its eyes watching, shimmering with faint colors of approval. Alex turned to the Queen, who remained silent, her gaze thoughtful. "You have exceeded my expectations," she said finally. "Your insight, patience, and courage are remarkable. Perhaps the legends were true after all." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had navigated alien diplomacy, demonstrated human ingenuity, and earned trust without confrontation or fear. And yet, he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and opportunities, and the Queen's empire held secrets even he could not yet imagine. As they returned to their transport, the Queen spoke quietly, almost to herself. So, the human is not only clever but wise. Perhaps he will change the course of the empire itself. Alex did not hear her words, but he could sense the shift in the Queen's attitude. She had begun to see him not as a curiosity or a minor visitor, but as a being capable of remarkable insight. And in the days to come, that perception would grow, shaping events in ways neither he nor the Queen could yet foresee. The stars stretched endlessly beyond them as the transport lifted off. Alex gazed out at the galaxy, aware that he had begun something important. A single human, acting with respect, intelligence, and curiosity, had already changed the course of events. And the adventure, he knew, was only beginning. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the transport's viewports, but Alex barely noticed them. His mind was already racing, analyzing the next steps. The first contact had been successful, but now came the real test: how to ensure that the fragile trust he had built would grow into something lasting. The Queen had given him her confidence, but he understood that she, like her empire, was cautious. Every action mattered, every decision carried weight, and mistakes could ripple across light years. The Queen remained beside him, her expression calm, her gaze fixed on the patterns of light outside. She said nothing, but Alex felt her assessment like a quiet pressure. She was thinking, observing, weighing him. He had earned her trust, but he also knew she had plans, questions, and expectations that went far beyond what he could see. When they arrived at the edge of the neutral system, the planet where they had been observed, Alex took the lead. He opened his interface to the alien signals, refining the connection. The patterns were intricate, flowing, almost musical, but he had learned to interpret them. Every twist, every repetition carried meaning. He traced them carefully, adjusting for variables that could distort the communication. "This is more complex than I expected," he admitted softly. The Queen's eyes flickered with a subtle light. "And yet you proceed with confidence," she said. "That is what makes you unusual." "Most would hesitate, doubt, or retreat. You adapt," Alex nodded. "Understanding comes from observation, not assumptions. I have learned to notice what others ignore." She remained silent after that, but her attention never wavered. Alex found it comforting in a way, knowing that she was watching not with suspicion, but with interest. The air between them carried an unspoken understanding. He had been tested and passed, but there were deeper layers yet to unfold. The transport descended slowly to the planet's surface. The landing zone was a flat area surrounded by crystalline formations that reflected the sunlight in dazzling patterns. Alex stepped out first, scanning for environmental hazards and energy disruptions. Everything was stable, and the signals confirmed that the inhabitants were still observing, still cautious, but willing to interact further. The Queen followed, her presence commanding but measured. Alex noticed the way the light shimmered against her skin, shifting with subtle changes in her mood. He had grown accustomed to observing details, habits, signals, patterns, but she remained as enigmatic as ever. As they approached a grove near the landing site, the creature they had first met appeared again. This time there were more of them, their forms varied but sharing the same shimmering quality. They moved with grace, their eyes curious, cautious, and intelligent. Alex felt no fear, only a quiet thrill. He understood the importance of this moment. First contact was not a simple greeting, it was the beginning of a relationship, delicate and vital. Alex knelt slightly, showing respect. "I am Alex Turner, human. I come to continue our dialogue, to learn and to share knowledge. We wish to understand your world and build trust between our peoples." The creatures responded with melodic tones, translated by his device. "We observe, you approach with patience, you demonstrate care." "Continue, human," Alex smiled faintly. "I will do my best. I believe understanding is built slowly, carefully, with respect for the other." Over the next hours, Alex worked alongside the creatures, demonstrating methods to interpret energy flows, align environmental signals, and share information without causing disruption. The creatures tested him with subtle changes, deliberately altering patterns to see how he would respond. Each time, Alex adapted, carefully analyzing the changes and responding with precision. The Queen watched quietly from a distance, her posture relaxed but alert. She had seen many civilizations, many species attempting to communicate, negotiate, or demonstrate their worth. None had achieved the level of insight and patience that Alex displayed. She found herself studying him not as a human, but as a mind capable of understanding and creativity beyond expectation. As the day progressed, the creatures moved closer, responding more positively. They demonstrated advanced energy manipulation, environmental adaptation, and subtle forms of communication that Alex had never encountered. He mirrored their techniques, learned from them, and integrated their methods with human ingenuity. At one point, a sudden shift in the energy signals occurred, a complex pattern that seemed like a warning. Alex paused, analyzing the sequence carefully. "They are showing caution," he said softly. "Not aggression, but concern. Something in their environment is changing." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Observe closely. Do not act rashly." Alex nodded. He adjusted his device, tracing the energy fluctuations, and discovered that a natural phenomenon, a storm of concentrated energy, was moving toward their location. The creatures had detected it first, and their signals had been a subtle alert. "I can stabilize the pattern," Alex said. "If we adjust the energy flow, we can prevent disruption and ensure communication continues safely." The Queen observed as he worked, fascinated. She had never seen a human act with such precision, patience, and creativity in the face of complexity. While her empire had mastered technology, strategy, and control, Alex demonstrated something rare: adaptability combined with insight. Carefully, he adjusted the energy alignment, using a combination of his device and the creature's natural energy patterns. Slowly, the storm's effects diminished, the signals stabilized, and communication continued uninterrupted. The creatures emitted tones that translated as approval and gratitude. The Queen stepped closer, her voice carrying a hint of admiration. "You have done what few of my advisors could accomplish. You did not react with fear or force, but with intelligence and care." "That is impressive," Alex smiled faintly. "Understanding is often more powerful than force. When we respect others, we create possibilities instead of conflict." For the first time, the Queen allowed herself a subtle, approving smile. It was not warmth exactly, but recognition, a rare acknowledgement that this human had value far beyond what she had expected. As night fell on the planet, the stars above reflected in the crystalline formations, creating a dazzling display. Alex sat with the creatures in a circle, exchanging knowledge, learning their methods, and sharing human innovations. He spoke of navigation, energy manipulation, and problem-solving strategies, while also listening and observing. Every exchange built trust, every demonstration reinforced understanding. The Queen remained nearby, silently observing. She saw how Alex listened, adapted, and responded with creativity. She saw the patience he demonstrated, the care he took, and the intelligence he applied in ways her empire had not yet perfected. For centuries, she had ruled with authority, wisdom, and strategy. Yet this human had shown her something new, that small, persistent, and thoughtful minds could achieve results that even the most powerful could not. At one point, a creature spoke through the translator. "You are not like others. Your patience and insight are rare." "You may guide us safely and wisely," Alex nodded. "I will do my best. I believe that collaboration, understanding, and respect create stronger bonds than dominance or fear." The creatures responded positively, adjusting their energy flows in acknowledgement. The Queen observed quietly, her expression thoughtful. She had expected humans to be weak, unpredictable, or short-sighted. Alex had proven her assumptions wrong. He had demonstrated ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, all traits she recognized as vital for survival and progress. As the night deepened, Alex and the creatures continued their dialogue, building a network of understanding. The energy patterns formed a new sequence, one that suggested the beginning of cooperation. Alex realized that he was not only bridging two species, but also creating a model for future collaboration, a way for humans and aliens to work together, safely, intelligently, and respectfully. Finally, as dawn approached, the interaction reached a natural pause. The creatures retreated to their hidden locations, leaving Alex and the Queen alone on the planet's surface. The air was quiet, filled only with the soft hum of energy and the distant glow of stars. The Queen turned to Alex, her gaze steady. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "Few could achieve this level of understanding in such a short time. You have proven that humans may offer something rare and valuable: creativity, adaptability, and insight." Alex bowed slightly. I am honored, Your Majesty. I only seek to learn, understand, and contribute where I can. The Queen's eyes softened subtly, a rare gesture. Perhaps, human, you will shape the future of this empire more than you realize. We shall see how far your insight can reach. Alex felt a quiet pride, not of arrogance, but of accomplishment. He had faced the unknown, built trust, and demonstrated the value of human ingenuity. The Queen, who had ruled for centuries, had recognized his abilities, and he knew this was only the beginning. As they returned to the transport, the Queen spoke quietly, almost to herself. So, the human may be more than legend. Perhaps he will change the course of history itself. Alex did not hear her words, but he felt their weight. He had entered an empire as an outsider, a small human in a vast galaxy, and had already made a difference. The challenges ahead would be greater, but he was ready. With curiosity, intelligence, and respect, he could navigate the unknown, and perhaps, just perhaps, show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. The stars stretched endlessly beyond them, a canvas of possibility. And in that vast, infinite space, a human mind was beginning to leave its mark. One act of insight, one demonstration of patience, one step of understanding at a time. The stars stretched like silver threads across the endless black, but Alex's mind was not on the beauty of space. His thoughts focused on the challenge ahead. The trust he had built with the alien creatures was still fragile. One mistake, one wrong move, and all the goodwill could vanish. Yet he felt a quiet confidence. He had prepared carefully, observed deeply, and learned more than he had ever expected. He was ready to take the next step. The Queen's transport descended into orbit above the neutral system. The creatures they had met before were waiting, their forms shimmering with soft, flowing light. Their eyes were bright, curious, and intelligent. Alex had learned to read the subtle shifts in their energy, the way their bodies moved, the small changes that revealed thought and emotion. He stepped forward, bowing slightly in respect. I am Alex Turner, human. I come to continue our dialogue, to ensure understanding, and to share knowledge. We wish to build cooperation that benefits us both. The creatures responded with melodic tones, which his translator interpreted. We acknowledge your intentions. Words are noted. Actions will show truth, Alex nodded. Then let us act together. I will show understanding through collaboration, not just speech. The Queen followed behind him, silent and observant. She had watched Alex work for days, seen his patience, intelligence, and adaptability. She had expected humans to be unpredictable, weak, or short-sighted. Alex had proven her assumptions wrong. Every move he made reflected thought, observation, and respect. She had begun to see humans in a new light. Alex and the creatures began to work together, aligning energy flows and creating a stable communication network. The patterns were intricate, weaving together human understanding and alien intuition. Alex introduced ideas from human science and engineering, simplified but effective. The creatures tested these methods, adjusting their own patterns in response. Hours passed. The energy signals shifted and stabilized, creating a complex but harmonious system. The creatures responded positively, demonstrating trust and recognition. Alex realized that they were no longer merely observing him. They were collaborating, sharing knowledge, and building understanding. The Queen spoke quietly, her voice carrying over the clearing. Few could achieve this. You demonstrate creativity, patience, and intelligence. You prove that humans have value beyond what I expected. Alex glanced at her. I am honored, Your Majesty. I only wish to show that collaboration, respect, and careful observation can achieve what force and dominance cannot. The creatures emitted a series of tones, which translated as approval. Trust has grown, cooperation possible, further interaction desired. Alex smiled faintly. He had not only interpreted their intentions, but had also created a system that ensured safety, mutual understanding, and the potential for ongoing dialogue. It was more than diplomacy. It was innovation, a combination of human ingenuity and alien intelligence working together. The Queen stepped closer, her gaze fixed on him. Your approach is unusual, human. You rely not on power, but on thought, understanding, and respect. That is remarkable. Most species fail where you succeed. Alex nodded. It is not about strength. It is about observation, analysis, and adaptation. Humans have survived by thinking differently, by noticing patterns others ignore. That is our advantage. The Queen's expression softened slightly, a rare sign of approval. She had observed countless beings, many of whom had tried to impress, manipulate, or intimidate her. Alex had done none of these things. Instead, he had used thought, patience, and intelligence. She began to see the truth in the legends she had heard about humans, a small, fragile race capable of remarkable insight. As they worked, the energy signals shifted again, this time in a pattern that suggested a challenge. A storm of energy was approaching, one that could disrupt communication and endanger both human and alien systems. Alex analyzed the pattern carefully. The storm is natural but intense. If uncorrected, it could destroy the network we have built. I can adjust the flow to stabilize it. The Queen observed him silently. Do so, but remember this is not merely technical skill. You must understand the system, its intent, and its limits. Alex nodded. He adjusted the network, combining human technology with the creature's energy patterns. Slowly, the storm's effects diminished, the signals stabilized, and communication continued uninterrupted. The creatures responded with approval, their tones bright and melodic. The Queen finally spoke. You have succeeded where many have failed. You have protected the network, ensured understanding, and demonstrated insight that few possess. Humans, perhaps you are more valuable than I ever believed. Alex bowed slightly. I only seek to show that careful thought, observation, and collaboration can achieve results stronger than fear or force. The creatures stepped closer, forming a circle around him. Their energy shimmered brightly, signaling trust and acceptance. You are recognized. Your actions show understanding and care. Cooperation is established. Future interaction is desired. Alex smiled, feeling a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had not only demonstrated human ingenuity, but had also built trust between species that had no reason to cooperate. He had proven that humans could adapt, learn, and lead without force, and that respect and intelligence could bridge even the widest gaps between worlds. The Queen approached him, her expression thoughtful. You have exceeded my expectations, human. Your insight, patience, and creativity are rare. Few could achieve this in such a short time. You have not only proven yourself, but you have also shown me the value of humans. Alex looked at her. I am honored, Your Majesty. I only wish to show what is possible when understanding and respect guide our actions. The Queen nodded slowly, her gaze lingering on him. Perhaps the legends were true. Perhaps humans are capable of shaping the galaxy in ways we did not imagine. You may continue to serve as a bridge between our species and others. Your actions may change the course of history. Alex felt a quiet pride, not of arrogance, but of accomplishment. He had entered an alien empire as a single human, facing the unknown, and had already achieved what few could. He had built trust, demonstrated ingenuity, and earned recognition from one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. As the sun rose over the crystalline planet, the Queen and Alex watched the light reflect across the forests and plains. The creatures had retreated to their hidden locations, but their presence lingered, a reminder of the understanding and cooperation that had been established. You have done well, human, the Queen said quietly. You have shown that strength is not always measured in power or force, but in intelligence, patience, and understanding. The galaxy will take notice of your deeds. Alex smiled faintly. I only hope it inspires others to act with care, respect, and thoughtfulness. That is the best way to build lasting peace and understanding. The Queen's gaze shifted to the stars, her expression softening in a rare display of contemplation. Perhaps humans will become more than a curiosity in this galaxy. Perhaps they will become a force of insight, wisdom, and innovation. You have proven that one human can make a difference. That is extraordinary. Alex looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of possibility. He knew that this was only the beginning. There were still countless worlds, civilizations, and challenges to encounter. But he had proven that humans could meet them not with violence or dominance, but with thought, intelligence, and respect. As the transport lifted off, leaving the planet behind, Alex felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. He had acted with care, adapted to unknown challenges, and built trust where there had been none. The Queen, watching him silently, began to see humans not as small and fragile, but as capable, clever, and persistent, beings whose potential was yet to be fully realized. The journey home was calm, filled with quiet reflection. Alex reviewed the patterns, the signals, and the outcomes of the interactions. Every observation, every calculation, every decision had contributed to success. He realized that human ingenuity was not just about technology or skill. but about perspective, seeing possibilities where others saw barriers, finding solutions where others saw problems, and acting with care where others acted with force. When they returned to the Empire, the Queen summoned her council. "You have seen what this human can achieve," she said. "Observe closely, learn from his insight, patience, and creativity. There is much we can gain by understanding humans, for they may yet shape the galaxy in ways we cannot predict." Alex remained respectfully in the background, aware of the attention but focused on the future. He had begun something important, a bridge between species, a model for collaboration, and a demonstration of human potential. As the council dispersed, the Queen approached him quietly. "Alex Turner," she said softly, "you have done more than I imagined. You have shown that humans are capable of greatness, not through force, but through understanding, intelligence, and respect. The Empire will never forget this." Alex bowed. "I am grateful for the opportunity, Your Majesty. I hope it marks the beginning of a new era, one of cooperation, learning, and mutual respect." The Queen's eyes softened, a rare and subtle acknowledgement of admiration. "Perhaps it does. Perhaps it marks the start of something extraordinary." And in that moment, under the light of 1,000 stars, Alex realized the truth of it. One human, acting with intelligence, courage, and respect, had changed the course of events in a way no one had expected. He had shown the galaxy the true potential of humanity, not as conquerors, not as weaklings, but as clever, adaptable, and persistent beings capable of shaping the future through thought, insight, and understanding. The stars outside stretched endlessly, infinite and full of possibility. And among them, a single human had left a mark, a beginning, a promise, and a demonstration of what humans could achieve when they acted with care, wisdom, and courage. The galaxy had taken notice, and nothing would ever be the same again.